Now it's time to start with the JavaScript part for this particular tip calculator application. So for that we need to use the script.js file. So inside of that, first we need to get the IDs of all of these particular input types and initialize it into variables. So first I'm going to here actually create a calculate tip function, because right now it is a button, so we want to add a listener to the button, and then we want to actually create the function which is called calculate tip. So here inside the JavaScript, first I will be creating a calculate tip function. So it is a function which all the logic for the tip calculation will be added, and then we need to add the variable which is like const, which is like our calculate button, calculate btn. It's equal to document dot get element by id, and then here also I'm going to add the listener, or I can just simply going to add the listener at the variable which is this particular calculate btn, or you can even do it like this approach if you want a different version. Like if I just get the id of the calculate btn, paste the id, and then I will be set here the listener. Okay, and then we want to listen to the click listener of the button, and we want to here use the calculate tip callback. Okay, so this will be that, and inside of that I will be using the console log statement, which is just to show the check. And if I just simply here save it and open the console by pressing the F12 in the browser, and if I click on the button, so you can see now the function is actually working fine. So it means that our code is working. Okay, now inside of this particular function we need to get the IDs of all of these 4 input types, and also these particular 3 list variables. Means under the result we have 3 divisions, we also need to fetch the IDs of that ones. So first time will be here using the const. So const, and this one is for the bill amount input, and it is actually equals to document dot get element by id, and then we need to actually here initialize the values. So inside of that we will be adding the value like bill amount. So this is the id for the bill amount, this is the id for the bill amount, and after that I will be here using the const, then it is for the service rating select. Okay, so this is for the service rating select, so we need to get the id of that one also. So document dot get element by id, and then we need to get the id of this particular service select list. So this is id service rating, and here service rating. Okay, and after that we need to create the another variable which is const and split count type, which is for the number of people, the third input type group. So this is also for the document dot get element by id, and instead of that we need to provide the id which is split count. So let us see the id. This is the id split count. I pasted it here, and then we need to create the 4th variable initialization which is meal type input. Okay, so meal type input, this is split count, or I can here just type the split count input. Okay, and this is for the service rating select. This is meal type select because it is a select input type. Okay, select, and then document dot get element by id, because it is an input type and it is actually a select, so that is why I actually named it like this one, so that whenever I read a code I can easily understand what is actually going on. And here the breakfast, which is this one, the select id is meal type, so we need to specify the id here, meal type. Okay, so we are actually initialize the IDs of all the 4 elements. Next we need to get the IDs of these all the result element, which is tip amount, total amount, and amount. So it is actually a spelling mistake, amount per person. So coming back to the script.js file again. So here again we need to create the variable const, and it is actually a tip amount output, because in which we are going to display the output. So it is document.getElement, not getAnimation, it is actually getElement by ID. And instead of that, we need to provide the tip amount. Make sure the ID is same, yes, and then we need to provide the total amount. So I'm going to duplicate into 2 more times. This is the total amount, and here I will be adding the total amount. Then the amount per person, copy it, and here we need to replace the ID, and also we need to replace the ID here, amount per person output. So we fetch the IDs of all the other 3 output elements also and initialize into the variables. Now we need to actually convert the values of these input variables into float one, because you already know that by default whenever we get the values of the form elements, means the input elements, it actually treated as a string. So we are actually working here with the numbers, so we need to actually convert it into parse float or parse and function. So here again I need to create some variables, const, and I will be here using a different approach, bill amount, which is like parse float, and here instead of that we need to pass the bill amount variable, which is this one, bill amount input, and we need to actually get its dot value. Alright, so this is for the parse float. Then again I'm going to duplicate into 1 more time, and this one is actually our service rating. Okay, so this is a service rating, and here we need to provide the service rating select value. Then we need to create the another variable, so it is like a const, and this one is for the split count, and this one is also like parse int, because it is a numeric value. Persons can't be like in a float value, so that is the reason here I will be using the parse int. Instead of that, we need to provide the split count input dot value. Alright, and after that we need to create the another variable, which is a const mail type, which is equals to, so it is actually a string. So according to that we want to display the result, so it is mail type, which is mail type select dot value. So we want to initialize the values. Now we actually able to enter these values, means we now convert these values, and after that we need to add the conditions for the empty inputs. So we need to add the conditions for the invalid inputs as well. So here I will be using the isNaN function. Instead of that I will be passing here a bill amount. Then we need to use the logical OR operator. Instead of that again I will be calling the isNaN, and then inside this particular isNaN I will be passing the service rating. After that again I will be using the logical OR operator, and then again isNaN, not isFinite, isNaN, and again instead of that I will be passing the split count function, means the split count variable value. So if it is not, then we want to update the only one tip amount division element with text content to like please. So we want to display an error message, please enter valid values. Okay, so we want to display, or I can say that please enter valid numbers. So this is the message, and also we want to actually total amount, which is this one, we want to update its text content to empty string, and then the final amount, which is amount per person, is equal to text content to empty one. So it is like terminated, and also it is totally optional. Okay, so we added the conditions for the invalid inputs. Then we want to return from this if there is any input invalid. Okay, and after that if there is a valid input, then we want to calculate the tips. So for that we need to use the let, because this variable value will be initialized many times according to the conditions. So for using the conditions I will be here using the switch case statement. Alright, and instead of that I will be passing the variable value, which is service rating. So according to this service rating we want to need to create different cases. So there are actually 4 service rating, which is value 1, 2, 3, 4. So the switch case will also started like case 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the reason according to that. So case 1 denotes the first service rating, which is the poor one. Okay, so here we want to add the tip to bill amount. So we are going to multiply the bill amount with this particular 0.05 dollars. Okay, and then we need to add the break. Similarly, I am going to copy this particular case code, paste it, and I will be using this one. Okay, so this is what actually we want to do, and then I will be here using the case 2. This is the case 3, this is the case 4. Here we need to change the value, so it will be an increment of $0.10. Here it will be the increment of $0.15, and here it will be the increment of $0.20. Alright, so this is what, and then we also need to terminate these break ones. Okay, nice, and good. We need to just provide here tabs as well, so that our code gets properly indented. Okay, so that marks the completion of the code for the switch case statement. And after that, we need to actually calculate here the final value. So let total amount, which is a total amount variable, that is we need to initialize the total amount variable. So we need to calculate the total bill amount plus the tip, because the total amount will be the bill amount provided by this particular input value, and then we need to add it with the tip that we have calculated according to this particular switch case logic. Okay, and also we need to create the amount per person. So amount per person is equal to total amount, which is we have calculated total amount divided by according to the split amount. So split amount is actually the number of, so this is the value, not split amount, it is actually a split count, which is the value of this particular variable. Okay, split count, which is an integer value, which will divide the amount per person. After that, we need to add the condition for the dinner one, so that whenever we select a dinner, there should be an increment of the $5. So here we need to check for the if meal type equals to dinner, which is a text present inside the case value. If meal type is equal to dinner, then we want to add the tip is equal to, and then we also need to initialize and perform the addition as well with the $5. And then we also need to increment the total amount with the 5 value, and again we need to perform the amount per person plus equals to, and then we need to provide the 5. So in case of dinner, we want to increase the tip amount to $5, and also the total amount, and also the amount per person. Now it's time to set all of these values to these particular divisions by updating its text content. So after the if statement, here we need to add the tip amount output, which is text content is equal to, so here we need to actually use the template string. So instead of that, I will be first using the tip, then colon, and I will be using here $, and then again $, and then the curly brackets. So this outside dollar will be treated as a string, and this is for the template string value. So we want to use the tip dot to fixed function, so that after the decimal we only want to display the 2 zeros, means 2 decimal values, so 2 fixed. Okay, and then we need to terminate it, and then again I am going to duplicate into 2 more time, and here I will be changing the value to tip amount to total amount output. Okay, so the total amount output, and this one is for the amount per person output, that is this one. And then here we need to add the amount per person. So if I go to view and word wrap, this is the code amount per person. Okay, and then here we need to actually change the value to total amount. Okay, so now the code is completed. So if I control save it and come back to the browser. If I enter here $500, selecting the service to poor and enter the value 5, or I can enter like 6, selecting the breakfast and click on result, then you can see now we are successfully able to see the results, which is the tip amount is $250, total amount is $250, and amount per person is $250. So there is a problem. The reason for that is actually I have not updated the inner variable value. So here we need to use the total amount. So total amount dot to fixed, and then here we need to use the amount per person dot to fixed. Now the problem is fixed. If I control save it and come back to the browser, so if I enter here $500 and selecting the service poor, and then number of people is going to be 5, and I'm going to select the meal type as breakfast. If I click on calculate, then you can see the tip amount is 25, the total amount is $525, and the amount per person is $105. Now if I select the service rating average, if I click on it, then you can see now the second case is actually implemented, which is this particular case, $50. And if I select the like service rating good, now this particular case is executed, and if I select the excellent, then this particular service is executed, means this particular case is executed, which is for the fourth service rating. Now if I select here a dinner, click on it, then you can see there is a $5 increment, and if I just select the good one, still there is a dinner, then there is a $5 still increment, and if I select here average, then you can see there is a still $5 increment. If I select here a poor, then they say so the application is working fine, guys. So that's marks the completion of the entire module for the tip calculator application. So if you like this entire module, then please leave a review, because your review definitely going to help me to reach more students. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.